I am very blessed that I am the only Orthodox judge in Summit County, elected in Summit County, and I feel very blessed to be Orthodox. I was baptized Orthodox. I've been Orthodox my whole life, and I feel like there is so much more meaning in the Orthodox faith. I think that we are the original church, and it is steeped in tradition, beautiful tradition, and there's so much more meaning, I think, when we pray, because we know what the meaning is. It is my pleasure to welcome Kassiani Callos. She's the founder of her own company, Gluten Free by Kassiani, Baking You Happy. Kassiani is the wife of Father George Callos, the Chancellor under His Eminence Metropolitan Savas of Pittsburgh, and the daughter of Father George Livanos, the long-serving priest at All Saints Greek Orthodox Church in Canonsburg, Pennsylvania, until his passing in 2021. Memory eternal. After Father Livanos' passing, a group formed to bring Father Livanos' vision to existence. His vision was to create a local coffee shop that would not only refresh the body, but also refresh the soul. And then Fresh Start Cafe, a nonprofit, was formed to be not only a fresh start to your day, but also a fresh start to your life. Kassiani has supported her father's vision by providing her delicious baked goods to the cafe and to her community. The Orthodox Christian women asked her to be our speaker today because she is an inspiration to many, and she may be an inspiration to you as well. So can you all welcome Kassiani Callos.
Thank you so much for having me. How's the sound? Am I loud enough? I feel like I'm blessed with my father's lungs and his voice, and I don't want to blow anybody away. But I really appreciate being invited here to speak to you today and to share my story. It has been a blessing for me to reflect upon what my story is. I initially felt like, I don't have a story. What do you mean my story? But I do, actually. And I am really excited to share it with you. So, 7 years ago, I was slowly working my way towards starting a business, a baking business, because I'm a baker. I felt really interested in doing this, but I wasn't sure it was the right time. I had a 9-year-old and a 7-year-old and a 2-year-old at the time. And that's kind of a lot, so I wasn't sure that it was the right timing, but I felt that God was pushing me in that direction, so I was slowly taking steps to, I don't know, make that idea a reality. 7 years ago this month, I was at a friend's wedding and saw an acquaintance who I realized in a moment has great expertise and in several different areas. I thought she would be great to talk to. I should talk to her about my idea and get her advice and see what I can glean from her expertise and experience. And I remember feeling this little nudge, go talk to her now. Because I thought, oh, this would be great person to talk to, but let me talk to her later. And I had this little nudge, go talk to her right now. So I walked up to her and I asked her if she would be open to having a conversation sometime later about about this business idea that I had. She was so nice about it and open to it, and then we ended up having more of a conversation like right then and there in the middle of the wedding reception, which was unexpected, but a blessing. And she said, yes, let's talk. But also, with what you've told me already, I have an event that I'm working to put together, a fundraiser next month, and I think that you would be great for this. Can we talk about you coming and doing this, participating in this fundraiser? I said, yeah, let's talk later. Awesome. So that was this little moment that felt like it was almost per chance, but nothing is by chance. And we will get back to that. Before I tell you how the rest of that story ends or continues, I think I should tell you a little bit about how I got there, actually. I have always been in love with food. I've loved food. I've loved baking and cooking, and I've been in the kitchen since I was at least 18 months old, which I give my mom a lot of credit for, because young kids are always curious and want to be involved in what their parents are doing, but it's not always easy or convenient to have your small children in the kitchen with you. So I give her a lot of credit for welcoming me and having me there even when it wasn't the easiest thing. By the time I was 14, I had taken over cooking all of my family's meals, was experimenting with baking and reading cookbooks like they were novels. By the time I was a junior in high school, I knew that I wanted to be in a food career, but I was really kind of perplexed because I had been raised by my lovely parents with a really strong sense of Christian purpose, principles, and I knew that I wanted to serve God, and I didn't know how I could serve God through food. It seemed like it was maybe the two don't work together, or like how can you serve God through food? So that was perplexing, but I thought, well, maybe I'll figure it out at some point. I was blessed to participate just before my senior year of high school in a brand new program at Hellenic College Holy Cross called Crossroad. I highly recommend that everybody send their young people to this program, because it was a program about vocation, where we learned about what is vocation. It's not just your job, but it is your calling. And after this amazing week of this program, I finally realized, yes, I can serve Christ and my church through food, because it's not just food, but food could be a vehicle through which we show people Christ, through which we live our Christian purpose and principles, and show Christ to other people. Hospitality is a very important thing, and I think that was probably the beginning of my journey in learning more about holy hospitality. So then my senior year of high school, I graduated high school and was blessed with my first neon sign from God. Often we're looking for direction, and we are trying to discern what God's will is. Should we do this? Should we do that? What am I supposed to do? And we often find the answers. We're listening for God in the still, in the small, quietness, and that is often how He speaks to us. But sometimes we're blessed with neon signs. Even Jonah needed a neon sign. So I was so thankful to feel like I had very obvious direction. Go here, get a job at this bakery. And I didn't understand the whole purpose, but I went, that's my first step. I'm gonna get a job at this bakery. And I got a job at a artisan bread bakery in Pittsburgh. And I learned all about baking, like real bread from scratch. It was an amazing experience. that I'm very thankful for, and they invested in me, which I was also very thankful for. So I got a lot of my career training on the job there. But then God sent me this amazing man, my husband, and I knew that God had sent him to me and that our marriage was blessed. And so we got married, but I was kind of wondering in the back of my mind, this job that I had was also blessed, so I guess we're going in a different direction. Because I moved away from Pittsburgh and we moved to Akron, Ohio. So I just moved forward going, this is blessed. God has given this to me, and we'll see what doors he opens from here. So I moved forward in faith. We started a family. My husband was ordained to be a deacon and then a priest in one beautiful weekend. And about 6 months after that, I found out that my daughter and I needed to be on a gluten-free diet. Our bodies do not handle gluten. That felt like a really terrible thing. It's difficult when you're told you can't eat something. It is really challenging when you're trying to navigate how to live in a world that is full of gluten, which for anybody who doesn't know, gluten is a protein found in wheat, rye, barley, and any derivatives thereof. For example, malt syrup comes from barley. Gluten is found in all of our food, so much of it. Similar to, anybody who has like a nut allergy, you have to all of a sudden avoid nuts and figure out what can I eat and what can't I eat, and it's challenging. But we make it through and we figure out how to live a healthier life. So this diagnosis felt like the end of everything. I had an identity crisis. I thought it's more than just I can't eat bread anymore. I thought I can't bake. And what do you mean I can't bake? Because I truly believe that God has given me a talent for baking, and we're supposed to cultivate and use our talents. And if I can't bake anymore, then what is my purpose? Can God take away your talents? Can he take away your purpose like that? That was distressing. But I had a pity party, and then I decided I do not want to accept no for an answer. So I'm gonna look into this. And I decided that I was going to start investigating what gluten-free baking might be and what that means. And then I delved into learning all about grains and starches and learning which ones are gluten-free and how do you use them to create something that's not just safe and edible, but actually delicious. If baking is a science, gluten-free baking, I think, is a super science. And I'm a better baker today because of it, because of that period where I had to break it all down to like the very basics. So I started learning, practicing, baking different gluten-free things. And slowly but surely over the next, I think it was like 7 years, I became kind of proficient in it. It was working. And then all of a sudden it seemed to really be working, where I was making things and not only my family was enjoying them, but I was sharing it with other people, and I would get responses like, wait, this is gluten-free. This is actually delicious. And that is what I aim for, something that is not just safe, but actually delicious, where you don't feel like, well, this is the best that I can have, because each of us deserves to have something that tastes delicious and is enjoyable. Continue to try and cultivate my God-given talents, and again found this like sense of confidence and surety that again I was doing what I felt was the right thing. So going back to 7 years ago, I had that amazing conversation, which felt like a blip on the map, but it was really important. And in 1 month, I kickstarted everything. I started my business, I put it together, I even got my food permits in like 1 month, which was mind-boggling. It didn't make sense to me, but it was a blessing. And I participated in this fundraiser in October of 2018 that I realized just after the fact was the perfect beginning to my business journey, because it was not just a day of business, but it was a fundraiser. It was a event called Sip and Sweets, and it was coffee shops, local coffee shops and bakeries, and we put together, we all brought stuff, and people bought tickets to the event and got to try different things there, and there wasn't anybody who was providing gluten-free stuff. And the organizers had people asking, will there be gluten-free things there? So I was able to provide gluten-free goodies for that day, but also support a really lovely organization called Lending Hearts, which is in Pittsburgh, but they provide support to children, to the families of children and young adults who are going through cancer and are journey. That was a really beautiful thing. It was not, the meaning that held for me, that I started with an event of service, was really meaningful. And I've carried that, continue to carry that throughout the last 7 years. Many blessings have come since then. Anything from, like, I was starting, I'm sorry, I should back up a moment. My plan 7 years ago was, let me start something small, start a small business while my kids are young, and then when the youngest is in probably 1st grade and school full time, then I have something with which I can then put more time and energy into and build the business up from there. That was my plan. God's plan was different. It has been really mind-blowing. All of the opportunities and blessings that God has sent my way. Right from the beginning, there have been so many more opportunities to do business than I expected. And it's more than just this sort of conventional, there's a big market for gluten-free foods, because there are lots of people who are gluten-free and they want delicious food. They need safe and delicious food. It's more than that. So I was, sorry, I was starting to make bigger and bigger batches of cookie dough and stuff, and thinking maybe I need to get a second mixer. I already have a big KitchenAid mixer, but I think I'm gonna need a second mixer to like make things, to keep up with demand. And then I got a call from a friend who said, my church is upgrading their mixer, and we're getting rid of the old one, and we thought maybe you would be interested in having it. And I said, well, that's really lovely. Thank you so much. Yeah, how much is it? I would love to buy that from you. And they're like, no, you go ahead and take it. It's fine. What? I was blessed with a very large mixer, the kind most churches will have in their kitchens, and it just really struck me. I was so thankful for that, and almost every time, because I'm not perfect, almost every time I use that mixer, I say a prayer for that church, because it was such a beautiful, generous thing that they did, and by blessing me with it, and I want to bless others in return. And that is one of the ways that I can continue to give back. Let's see, so then 2 years after my father passed, so 2023, sorry, dates. My father, as you heard in the introduction, one of my father's ideas of a community cafe in the community, the Canonsburg community, which is where my parents and my family had served for 35 years. His idea of a community cafe came to fruition. It was really beautiful to see how people within the community, both Orthodox and non-Orthodox, felt moved to take on this project and bring it to fruition after my father had passed, despite the fact that my father had passed. And I've got to admit, this cafe was something that I had heard Papa talking about, but I hadn't really paid a whole lot of attention to. It was kind of just one of those projects that I heard my father talking about, and I was like, oh, that's nice, you're working on that. Learning more about it as it came to fruition was a huge blessing, and being able to participate myself became a huge blessing. This cafe is a nonprofit, so if you want to come in for a cup of coffee or a baked good, then the proceeds of that, beyond the operating costs, go towards literally helping the people within the community. And it's a really beautiful project that had an effect, a positive effect on the community from the very beginning, even before they opened. And the man who was heading up this project had reached out to me and asked me, knowing that I have a baking business, and asked me if I would be interested in selling my baked goods there, which I saw, again, God opening up doors and leading me in that direction. So I said yes, and it's turned out to be an amazing opportunity because it has given me a place to have like a retail location. I don't have my own retail location right now. I do a lot of wholesale, sell to cafes and some markets, as well as baking to order. And so through being able to sell my goods there, which has been a blessing, they give me a lot of flexibility so I can have whatever products there that I want to. Through being able to sell there, it has given my customers a better opportunity to be able to access those items, and every single purchase that they make there supports the cafe, the Fresh Start ministry within the community. The giving back has been very important to me. I had mentioned that I was raised with these strong Christian principles and purpose, and the subject of giving thanks through the stewardship and the tithing of our time, talents, and treasures has always been really important and a big topic within my family. So this feels weird to say, but for the purposes of sharing how important I think it is for each of us to do this, I will share that the giving of the first fruits is always something that I've built into my business structure. Conventional wisdom says, from your profit, from what is yours, you take and you can do whatever you want to. And so from that, you can give tithing to your church. You can give stewardship. But the first fruits is taking the whole, the very beginning, and taking that amount, 10% if you want to be literal, it can be more than that if you want, from the whatever comes in, and giving that back to God. I have found that through doing that, giving freely, God has blessed me with many opportunities and blessings. It is all throughout the Bible, the Old Testament especially, God tells us to give of the first fruits out of thanksgiving. He has given to us freely, and freely we should be giving to other people. And that's something that I felt is really important, and have been blessed by following that principle. there are so many opportunities and beautiful ways with which we can give to our churches or to other people and bless others as we have been blessed. I feel that throughout this entire journey, and it has just been 7 years so far, that God has opened up so many doors for me that I didn't expect. And it takes finding, I forget how I had worded this, I'm sorry. Being able to recognize when and where God is leading you can be pretty difficult sometimes, but I have really leaned into trusting that He will always provide for us, whether it is through my business or through my family and my community. He will always provide for us. So trust and communicating with Him through our prayers, through participating within our churches and the sacraments, building a connection with our God is really important. I just died. This might be my cutoff. Can everybody hear me okay like this?
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. So, forgive me, lost my train of thought a little bit there. But prayer, both for ourselves and for others. Like my parents have always prayed for us. And me in particular, I felt like I'm sorry, not me in particular, but for myself, I was always told how my parents prayed for me and all of my siblings, and how they felt that we were blessed with a certain path. And it's not to say, that didn't give me this sense of like, oh, I'm special, I've got something special to do, but rather that I have a God-given purpose. And I grew up with a sense of wanting to find that and to follow it. Prayer, the tithing, the being involved within our parishes, and the sacrament of our beautiful Orthodox faith are all things that any of us can do at any point in our lives. And I encourage everybody to always strive for that, because there's always room for improvement and it is never too late. And this morning during liturgy, it really struck me. Sometimes words jump out at you, and during the petitions it was said, let us commit ourselves and one another and our whole lives to Christ our God. And I pray that I am doing that and continue to do that, and that is all. Thank you.
Thank you.